Good morning, Solaris 7. Calgary Battletech brings you Season 2 of Uncivil Discourse with your hosts, Brett, Lee, and commentary from Geoff. Welcome back to our next episode of Uncivil Discourse, our last of the calendar year. We might have a Rambletech or a special episode of something, but otherwise we'll be taking a slight break for the hectic season that is the last half of December. We will return in January for our playoffs and regular scheduled mayhem.
And it has been an amazing season so far. With lots of movement up and down the standings, we are starting to get to the point where I think we have our top 8 locked in, except for one spot. And we are going to be seeing some really interesting moving in the bottom 8 for those people trying to fit into the B-side playoffs.
Do you mean the middle 8?
Listen, it's hard for him to count at times, okay?
Hey,
1,
people
2,
understand
4.
what I'm talking about. You get bent.
Are you sure they understand what you're talking about?
Well, so far, so good.
Because, we've spent 20 some odd years with you and we don't always know what you're talking about.
Well, I don't know what I'm talking about sometimes, so it's all good. We're all in the same boat. It's all just a random amount of information that comes out of my mouth some days.
Wrong episode, though, right? That's you need to save that for the random one.
Hey, at least this time, our fearless leader got the show right.
It only took me 3 takes last time.
For 2 different shows.
Remembering things is hard, okay? He's getting old in years.
Hey, I'm looking forward to Alzheimer's. I'm going to get a whole new group of friends every 2 weeks.
Yikes.
Well, it's been a while since Battle Basement won our draw for the Merrick Lance, and as they've not contacted us at that point, we will be redrawing the Lance for a different winner. I don't know exactly when that's going to be. Maybe that'll be part of the special show. We'll have to see.
All right, covering skill spends. No skill spends. Yay!
I think the only one happy about that is you, Brett.
It is so much extra work.
I'm happy about it too.
Especially when I have to cross-reference everybody to make sure that their skill spends are legal and compatible and that they haven't doubled up on something that doesn't work.
Yeah, and 22 emails turn into 70.
All right, so let's take a moment and cover the match summaries for our prior week. Game number 1, we had Kondo's Janissaries versus the Blood of Bashir. Of all the custom maps, the Lunar Base is seeing the most action this season. Low gravity sometimes plays a big factor and sometimes claims the legs of unlucky mech warriors. Thus was the case today as the Bashir Warhammer, while enjoying the added speed of low gravity, popped a few critical locations on their legs. This match ends in a 4-0 Kondo's take-home.
Anytime I've ever played with low gravity or vacuum, and this map luckily doesn't have vacuum, otherwise the horror stories would be even worse. I don't even bother with the extra speed. I might move my walking up 1 or 2, but I don't even get into my running space. It's just too dangerous, and it can throw the game completely off when all of a sudden you don't have legs on your mech. Andrew plays a great game. Hopefully him and JP had a good time. And it's just Battletech. It's the way it works. The Kondo Janissaries, run by JP, getting a 4-0 victory isn't a really big surprise. There is a reason why he's the 2-time champion. And Andrew, hopefully the rest of your season goes well and you enjoy the rest of your games.
Yeah, oh man. Luckily Andrew has been so happy and go lucky that it's sad to see the record he's gotten this season, but like you say, hopefully the rest of his games are just as good and he has fun with them. And
Yeah, for a brand new guy, he pulled a pretty tough strength of schedule this year.
Oh, he pulled a horrible strength of schedule, sir. I blame Lee.
It's all Lee's fault.
Yeah, it is, and unfortunately it's just a push of a button. I really don't have a whole lot of control of it. There's sometimes some tweaking depending upon certain circumstances, but it is what it is.
All right, moving on to game 2, the War Club versus Vandals Valkyries. Another custom arena gets some action. The Fortress has mechs slipping and sliding on the pavement, as there is some serious clubbing of the Valkyries today with a War Club 4-0 victory.
Yeah, I've heard of kicking somebody when they're down, but clubbing them? Ugh, that's rough. And this is 2 games in a row where Vandals Valkyries ended up in a city fight after transferring out their Nightstar into that Thunderhawk. It doesn't work out so well for him in the situation, and from what I've been hearing, his dice went downhill again, which made it a lot more difficult to even stand up to the War Club's ruthless aggression. They are an extremely good team when it comes to just in your face and beating on you. Though I heard that he had some plans on sitting back if Chris had wanted to play that game of sitting back and doing long range fire.
Yeah, I heard Kelvin specifically mention that Chris's dice decided to literally, hose him on everything. Be it piloting, be it gunnery, just did not want to show up today at all.
Yeah, and when that happens, there's nothing you can do about it.
Game number 3, Parker's Pathfinders versus the B-Side Brawlers. The third custom arena this week, our Winter Wonderland, which is a -5 heat per turn, is left littered with mech corpses and coolant. With an early shot to the face, taking the B-Side Archer out of the fight, this match ends with another Parker's victory, 4-3, as the Brawlers just can't quite come back.
Just give me 1 second to prep for this one. This is almost exactly what happened to me against Aaron. Early on in the fight, Gauze rifle to the face of a mech, and it's an important one. It was his 5.85 jumping archer with 4 streak 6s. Once that mech's out, now the Parker's Pathfinders can start focusing on other fire, and then it's Nightstar against Nightstar. I'd like to say that I am disappointed in the Brawlers, but everybody knows that I always am anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Way to go, Chris. Pulling out another victory. Good on you.
Yeah, 4-3. That just shows you how close things are, right? Like it could have gone either way in the end.
That's what we call a close game, Lee.
Fight my shiny metal.
Nope.
Game number 4, Abishai's Avengers versus Thumper's Revenge. In a tough arena for the LRM Heavy Thumpers, the Wooded Hills has these 2 bashing against each other. With lots of line-of-sight dead zones on this map, the game could have almost ended with the Avengers' first tie this season, if not for a late-game kill of the Stalker. The final score, 2-1 Avengers.
And I've said this before, and I'll say it again, this should absolutely be considered a victory for the Bunnies. The Abishai's Avengers have won 7 out of 8 games before today, and managed 28 out of a possible 32 kills. The team has been dominating and taking his opponents apart this season. To be able to hold him to a 2 kill as well as getting one of her own, that really shows that she played Max to his limit. She could have won it. She could have pulled the tie. Instead, the Avengers squeak out a win.
Yeah, I would have expected that game to be a lot higher scoring than what it actually turned out to be. That's especially with, like you say, how efficient Max has been at killing opponents' mechs.
Yeah, it's a real big feather in Laura's cap to be able to say that she kept him to a 2-kill game.
And literally, the Stalker died in the last term of the game. Before that, it was 1-1. Game number 5, Flying Tigers versus Tin Man's Tin Cans. The Red Peaks Arena sees the Tin Man's Tin Cans pick up their first W this year. In this well-fought and down-to-the-wire game, our last active team with no wins pulls one in. 2-0 Tin Mans. Congratulations, Justin.
Yeah, way to go, Justin. That's a great win. Good feather in your cap as well, because now you can at least go into the playoffs and the end of the season saying, hey, I at least got 1 win. You still have a game coming up. You could end up with 2 wins. Who knows? But way to go, Paul. It's just a matter of getting back on your feet and going at it. You still have 1 more game to make sure that you're in the B-side playoffs, and then it'll be just placement.
How does it go? The Giants win. In this case, it's the Giant wins. The Giant wins. No, I guess that falls flat.
No, that's good. I just didn't know what to say. I was just going to leave that as is because it was nice. I like that.
Insert laugh track here.
Yeah, I might even. But the thing is, I don't want to do that because it was actually a good line. It was just a good line. I didn't know what to say.
So leave that whole entire conversation we just had with it in. Too, by the
Yeah,
way.
for sure. Because that was what it is. I heard it. I'm like, that's a pretty good line. And then I'm just like silent. I'm like, well done.
That was a good one. Yep. Good one.
Just move on.
Game number 6, Petulant Perry's Periphery Pirates versus the Red Suns Irregulars. This match was played out in the Red Peaks Arena a little bit early. The Red Suns managed to murder the opposing gunslinger, while Petulant Perry's takes down all 4 Red Suns mech in a 4-1 finish.
Well, I'm always cheering for Gary, mainly because he was a little bit on the lower end of the standings last season, and 2, he's just a great guy. Galen has played an amazingly solid season up to this point. Not quite as high as I think he would like to be in the standings, but still doing really well and comfortably in the A side. Now, this is a little bit hard for me to say. I've got to hope that Gary loses his next game. It's the only chance I have of making the playoffs. Of the A side, anyway. So, way to go, Galen. Get in there and stomp your next opponent. And, Gary, try not to jam too many racks in the next game. All I gotta say.
Oh man, what can you say? It's, Petulant Perry's Periphery Pirates took it to the Red Suns on this game. 4-1. I'm going to say Gary probably just jammed a whole bunch of racks, maybe? I don't know. I always hope Gary jams racks, so... But Gary, do not listen to Lee. Win your next match and deny him the playoffs.
All 6 spins, no jams, good to go.
He's just worried about me actually making the playoffs and beating him in the first round, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to be facing him in the first round.
I'll play you again first round of playoffs. I think that's exactly what happened last year.
No, second round. Second round. I played Heather the first round.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
Game number 7, Riston's Rogues versus Lords of the Underworld. The River Valley Arena, perhaps one of our least popular arenas to fight on, has these 2 teams clash today. Geoff, why don't you tell us a little bit about how this game went down?
No, it was a really good game, right? Playing Jay, even though it was a 4-1, we both had lots of fun. He actually got to hit with the hatchet on the Berserker. Needless to say, it didn't help in the end. He forgot to, actually initiate Berserker. So he was just hitting like a normal 100-tonner with a hatchet. Outside of that, it was a little more luck on some shots with him, and I would have been down quite a few more mechs. Most of my mechs outside of the Cerberus were pretty beat up in the end. All in all, a good game.
Yeah, Geoff, I completely agree. Jay's a really fun guy to play against, and his lance is quite decent. The Berserker has definitely underperformed for him, but there's nothing wrong with the mech at all. I'm glad to hear that he played decent against you, and the fact that he lost, not surprising, but I'm glad to see he put up a good fight.
Yeah, I'm glad this seemed like a good game. The River Valley Arena is always a hard one. That and the River Basin are 2 of our most unpopular maps, not because they're ugly or just because they're difficult to play on, because it's lots of water and sometimes there's hills, sometimes there's not. So realistically, having a range game is going to put you at a disadvantage on this, and it's lots of piloting checks. So definitely good to see that you guys had a good game, and I hope that your next ones are just as good. Game number 8, the second St. Ives Janissaries versus Odin Storm Riders. Having home field advantage, the Storm Riders opt to not fight on the pavement experience, and instead enter the default arena. This match goes an impressive number of turns, and from round 5 onward, we have at least 5 mechs in physical contact range. Who knew that Solaris fights were a contact sport? With some Atlas on Atlas violence, the Atlas All the Atlas dies today. This game ends in another 4-2 Second St. Ives Janissaries victory. Atlas and Hunchback smoldering wrecks, while not so much of the Hunchback, as this pilot took a total of 8 pilot hits today and will yet again need to be replaced.
So your matches are starting to get a little bit predictable, Brett. 4-2 is pretty much needs to be stamped on the, like a tramp stamp on the back of all of your mechs.
No, just the Atlas
and
the Hunchback.
Yeah, no, but it seems to be for like those two die, and it's because of how aggressive you play them and how scared people are of that Atlas. I think both Geoff and I called exactly this score for exactly these reasons. I don't know what else to say. It's exactly what we expected. Well played, and I'm glad you guys had a good time.
Yeah, like you said, Lee, we expect his Atlas and Hunchback to die every game. It's nothing new.
I even picked up some new water slide transfers, and I'm thinking of putting the numbers 4-2 on both of those mechs.
Tramp stamps, though. Make them those tramp stamps.
Well, I know it ain't going on the right leg, or I'm going to start telegraphing something from last season again.
Yeah, that what was it, Cerberus or Gunslinger?
Gunslinger lost his right leg 5 times throughout the season.
That's just because you're not allowed to have nice mechs, you know?
Apparently. That's why I went with all intro level mechs this year to start. Game number 9, the Doombuds versus the Blitzkrieg Jezebels. The Road in the Hills arena has these two teams clash today. In what can be described as a rain of fire, the Doombuds earned their sponsorship today, raining down much LRM goodness. And the Highlander took the head off the Zeus with its Gauss rifle.
I'm going to take a little bit of blame on this. Once again, C3 and C3I is a very difficult tech to understand if you're not using it. If you're using it all season, it comes together and you start to understand it. You figure out how to make it work. Heather and I have not sat down and played with C3 or C3I ever. It's always been a tech that I don't play a lot. I know how to use it. I know how to counter it. Heather, not so much. Good try, babe. And in your next game, I don't think you have to face it again this season, so hopefully your next game's a big W on your end.
For those folks that missed it, this was a 4-0 victory for the Doombuds. Both of my co-hosts neglected to mention that. In the end, yes. Not, if you don't know C3A or C3I, and this is like your first time or second time up against it, it's tough to deal with, and it has a high learning curve. But I know there was lots of questions asked, and the Jezebels tried their dang best to use terrain to their advantage, but in the end it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, Heather ran into a bunch of situations she'd never run into before. She didn't understand really the hiding mech problem out of line of sight, as well as she experienced her very first indirect fire situation, and the numbers just seemed so off to her that she was very confused.
And I mean, the Doombuds have so much LRMs that they can indirect. If you're sitting there just out of line of sight with no defensive mod, that's not really going to help you. Game number 10, Mass Destruction versus Donru Tiger Slayers. Choosing not to fight in the River Basin map, these two teams also opt for the default arena to scrap it out. And scrap they did. Lee, tell us about how this epic clash of the C3 networks ended in a 3-3 tie.
Well, I gotta say, it definitely shouldn't have. Early on, we were just feeling the ranges out, trying to figure out how to hit each other. He could knock out my C3I with ECM. I have no ECM in my Lance. All I have is Beagle active probes. So what I did is I just kept near his ECM mechs to make sure that my system was active, and pretty much just moved myself so either he didn't have line of sight, laid smoke down to give myself some extra defensive modifiers, whatever I needed to do to try to block and control ranges. I did it well enough to make it that his Battlemaster had to come off of its hill and come join the scrum, and I was able to keep my Archer and my Salamander up on the hill for their hills for most of the battle. And then about turn 4, turn 5, I run my Ragin up behind his Battlemaster, trying to take it out with back shots because it's the C3 Master. Missed with almost everything except for the large pulse laser, hit it in the left arm. Alright, that didn't work. Fire LRM 15s at it from my Salamander, get a floating critical to the left torso. Not only do I hit the C3 Master, I hit one of the XL engines. The mech's in trouble. And still has a ton of armor, and his system is out. That silly Orion with the ERPPC and the two MRM40s is just hammering my archer, because that was the personal vendetta, or the Bushido code he had called against it. So my archer is backing, pedaling, starting to move, trying to get cover. In that same turn, his Warhammer, who I'd been focusing on and hammering for the 4 turns before that, runs through the smoke, comes up behind my Ragin, hits it with both PPCs. On the right-hand side, it's damaged, but I should be able to handle it. Hits me in the left torso, so now it's down to 2 points of armor external. Floating critical, left leg. Hip hit. Well, now my Ragin's laying on the ground, probably not getting up. He continued moving the mechs around, got his Warhammer into a set of trees so he could shoot my downed Ragin, which lasted another 4 turns of him trying to kill it. Meanwhile, our damage is just going everywhere. Mechs are getting hammered, nobody's dying. Shortly after that, I was able to finally destroy his Battlemaster. I just hammered it through with damage and had to tear it down. His Warhammer's still alive. 2 shoulder hits, so his PPCs were negated. He's down, loses a torso, so he's down to 1 ER medium laser, and the 1 mucked up ER PPC cannot kill this stupid mech. His Orion, meanwhile, is still pressuring the archer, I kill the Warhammer. Finally, after concentrated fire into the back, I kill his Orion, leaving his Cicada against my badly damaged archer, my crab that has torso damage to the point of having 5 points left in its left torso, and an untouched salamander. I don't think it took a single point of damage the entire match. That silly Cicada runs out, long range shot with its ER medium laser, kills the archer. Alright, nothing I can do about that. I start backpedaling my crab, trying to stop him from killing it, so I still get a 3-2 win. Little bugger runs out, hits me with 3 medium lasers. One of the shots hits the left torso, taking it out. Ends up being a 1-1 tie on the last turn of the game. We fit in 4 turns in under 15 minutes at the end. So Brandon played a great game. And really, it could have gone either way. If I hadn't got that floating critical to his C3 Master, and he hadn't got that floating critical hip hit on my Ragin, the game could have been completely different. In the end, it was a great game, really well-earned tie on Brandon's part, and puts me on making A-side, but I'll take top of B-side too.
Oh, Lee, another loss.
It was not a loss, it just wasn't a win.
You and your non-wins.
Yep, non-wins. Just remember, if you ain't first, you're last.
All right, we pick on you enough. I don't think we need to go into this one specifically. We'll move on to the next game.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Good job, Brandon, by the way.
Actually, really well done, Brandon. That was a great game. One of the most enjoyable ones I've had all season.
Game number 11, Fallen Angels, with guest pilot Steve versus Kelj Keswick. In possibly the fastest beating this year, the Mountain Lakes watch as it only takes 5 turns for the Kelj Keswick to remove all 4 of the Angels mechs. Mind you, taking the head off of 2 mechs and dumping 55 points of damage into a 40-ton mech center torso in 1 turn will do that. 4-0, Keswick's victory. This is not how we attract new players that sign up next year, Geoff.
Well, you actually missed one of the more exciting moments in the game. 60 points, 3 20-point shots in the single turn to the center torso of the Fallen Angels. Awesome. It can't take that damage. It cored the mech out in a single round of fire.
Right, I forgot to mention that. Because the other one was 2 20s and a gauze rifle to the center torso of the Mercury 2.
Oh.
Followed up by the next turn of 20 to the awesome center torso.
Did Steve owe you money, Geoff? Like, was that a, I'll break your kneecaps next time? Like, that
and for our listeners, we have 2 Jeffs in the league. This is not our co-host.
Yeah, I wouldn't be that mean to somebody. That's what is there to say, right? 5 whole turns, like
that is brutal. I've never heard of a game going that fast.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. Good job, I guess, Geoff.
No, bad job. We want to attract new players.
That wasn't a beating. That was an assassination.
I mean, I think they carpooled to get there, so at least they're friends outside of this.
Wait. Are you saying there's possibly the fix is in?
Ooh, we did talk about that.
Next year, there will be no bring your own opponent to league day.
No, from the sounds of it, and I was sitting right near them, it sounds Geoff just had some phenomenal luck, and it wasn't even. He just What can you do when you roll 2 head caps, right?
2 head caps and 2 center torso cores without hitting anywhere else on the other max.
That's just crazy. Gotta love dice.
It's a dice game.
All right. Well, that's the end of all our game coverage. Now we're going to step into Heather, our new special reporter, who's had a chance to talk to probably one of the humblest and most, freshest face to the league this season, Andrew, who is the stable master of the Blood of Bashir. So take it away, Heather, and let's hear the interview.
All right, hello, Calgary Battletech League, Game 9, and I have Andrew here. They're done. I'm not too far behind on this game. It's kind of pathetic. But anyways, how'd your game go?
It was fun. It was quick, but, JP's pretty good, but we still had a lot of fun.
How many rounds did you guys get in?
I think we got 9 rounds in.
Oh, that's not bad. In what, 2.5 hours?
Yep.
That's pretty good. We're sitting about there. So what is your takeaway from today? Anything specific? Like, did you do something that might have...
Well, we're playing on the low gravity, so I thought, well, now that I can move farther, I should try to. And I
Right.
turned my awesome into a turret on the first turn, so that was a shame, but...
Yeah.
Other than that, it went pretty well.
Right, yeah. I, my crab fell on the second or third turn and then died. So
That's true.
I get it. This week I'm like, it's not going so well.
It happens.
Not going so well. So who do you play on your last game?
I'm not sure.
I was going to say, I don't know mine either. Okay, so that one works. What what brought you to League? Like, how did you find out about League?
Oh, I know Brett and JP from Kill Team,
Okay.
and I like mechs, so I was interested in playing, and Brett introduced me to it, so it was lots of fun.
Nice. And so you thought you'd join us this year
Yeah,
and kind
give
of
it a
see
try.
how it goes? Yeah. And how are you enjoying League so far?
It's been fun, yeah.
It's been fun?
Been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know when I played you, I was like, oh, this could go kind of either way, but you definitely one of the funner players to play with, like joking, and I like that you don't blow up if something goes wrong. I'm kind of doing that today. I'm like
Fair enough.
cranky. I had to say sorry to Alex. I'm like, damn it. But and then where are you in the standings?
I'm not last.
Well, there you go.
I think I'm second last.
Second last. Ooh.
But
I
I'm not
thought Tin
last.
Man Tin Cans was second last.
Maybe.
Okay.
But,
So are you
yeah,
good?
I won my first game against Lee, and
Woohoo!
I have a suspicion that, it's like I'll go easy on the new guy on the first game.
No,
But,
not my husband.
It was fun.
It's fun. Awesome. Well, thank you, Andrew. And we'll talk to
pleasure.
you later. Talk to you later.
everybody.
Bye.
Let's start off today's highlights with a special spotlight on a little mass destruction. Midway through this engagement, the mass destruction Ragin was laying down, playing it chill, just trying to find a crayon it had dropped in the grass, when a big bad Orion walked up and stomped it in the chest, taking it off the field. Our next highlight of the week is brought to you straight out of the River Valley in the last moments of the match, when all seemed lost. The valiant Perseus pilot stood at nearly impossible odds. Needing a 12 to stand on 2d6, the dice came up with a mild miracle, showing the 12. The Perseus did not die laying down, but rather on his feet at the end of the day in the last round.
I forgot all about that in our match, actually.
It did?
I'm glad. Yeah, he needed a 12 to stand, and he stood on the 12, which was glorious. That's like we both stood there and high-fived because it was great to see. It was the only way that mech could have done anything because it was missing an arm and a leg, so it couldn't prop and fire, right?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was great to see. And then, of course, my usual of, oh, look, I need 7s to hit it with 2 Gauss rifles. I hit it with 1. So it continues to stand.
Wow.
So it stood for an entire turn.
This will lead us into the Week 10 matches, the very last kick at the can before playoffs, and will cement our spots and placements going into the playoffs.
And draft positions next year.
True. Well, other than the winner and the admin.
Yeah, but really, do we count for anything?
No, apparently not.
Well, you certainly don't. But don't worry. You're number 1 in our hearts.
You are too, if you could see what my hands were doing. Game number 1, we have the Vandals Valkyries. They've got 2 wins, 7 losses, 0 ties. They're going up against the Condos Janissaries. 7 wins, 1 loss, 1 tie. Well, I have made promises. I have to break it because, to be honest, I think the Vandals are going to win this. They beat JP last season in a game that JP was pretty sure he had in the bag. Now, that's just me talking out my butt, but I think the Vandals Valkyries are going to show some really, really good luck with that Thunderhawk this game, and they're going to take it 3-2.
So, I don't know about this. Condos Janissaries has been playing lots of custom maps. Awesome. Thank you very much. I love seeing those things get used. Vandals Valkyries played Condos Janissaries on the Fortress map last year, and that's what led to part of Condos Janissaries smashing his head of his Banshee into the ground over and over again. Now, Vandals played on that map this week, so they're ineligible to play on it next week. So really, it could be anybody's game again. I want to see the Vandals take a win here, but I also think Condos is just going to be so super defensive that it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it is going to be 3-1 Condos Janissaries final score.
3-1, you think, for the Condos Janissaries, huh? And Lee thinks it's going to be a Valkyries 3-2. I have a feeling they're probably going to play on a custom map, just because JP has been playing on custom maps pretty much the last half of the season here.
And Chris isn't scared of him. He's played on a couple.
Yeah. I think we're still going to see a Condos Janissaries win. And I think it's going to be a 4-2, though.
There's one little detail. For the last half of this season, Condos Janissaries have been asking to use either their opponent's dice, their dice, or the neutral dice. I don't think he's going to want to touch Chris's dice with how bad they've been treating Chris. I think if he asks for that, Chris should let him use his dice and just watch the carnage happen with both mechs just imploding.
That is true. It has been the your dice, my dice, or neutral dice.
I got a feeling this is going to be a neutral dice game.
And you know what? And then it just throws everything up in the air again, because I do know the luck, and for whatever reason, whether it's a mental effect on the dice or whatever from mental attitude, it does seem to affect the dice.
I see. I would use Chris's dice with no problem.
Yeah, but
Wouldn't bother me.
You ignore all trappings of superstition.
Yeah, you can roll like crap regardless, so it doesn't matter what the dice you're using are.
We really shouldn't say that, considering the fact at one point he was the number 1 team in league. So.
Yeah, but he was there with a lower kill count.
True, but a win's a win's a win.
Yeah,
and then he started pulling non-wins.
Exactly. I did get 2 non-wins.
Game number 2. We have the B-side Brawlers. 4 wins, 5 losses, 0 ties. They're up against the Blood of Bashir. 1 win, 8 losses, and 0 ties. As much as I'd love to see the Blood of Bashir win, I think the Battle of the BBs is going to end up being the B-side Brawlers taking it with a 3-1 victory, simply because I don't think he's going to give Andrew the send-off of the regular season like I would like to see him do.
Are you sure about that? Are you good with that?
No, but that's what I'm going to go with.
Because I think this is going to be Blood of Bashir's first win since they kicked the crap out of you. I think it's going to be a lucky
There was
game.
no kick the crap out of. It was a 1-0 game.
Did you win that game, Lee?
It doesn't matter. It still wasn't a butt kicking. It was a 1-0.
Was that Blood of Bashir's first game ever?
Get bent. Get bent.
Never getting old. Blood of Bashir is going to take this home. It's going to be kind of a swingy game, but it's going to be a lot of fun, and it is going to be 4-2.
As much as I would like to say a Blood of Bashir win, Lee is correct. It's going to be a B-side Brawlers, unless Aaron just feels like being such a nice guy and letting him win, I guess, but that would be the fix, and that's a no-go. No, all jokes aside, I do think it's going to be a B-side Brawler win. I think it's going to be 3-1.
Moving on to the third game of the final week of regular season, we have Thumper's Revenge. 2 wins, 5 losses, 2 ties. They're up against the War Club. 8 wins, 1 loss, 0 ties. This game is kind of polar opposites. Thumper's Revenge has been kind of struggling the past few games, and the War Club has regained their footing after that 1 loss earlier in the season up against the Condos Janissaries. I don't know what to say on this one. I'm always rooting for the Bouncing Bunnies. However, the War Club's going to take it, and it's going to be a 4-1 victory.
This one's a tough call for me. Strength of schedule and looking on paper, the War Club with their 8-1 should win this, and they should be able to hammer down. But look at what just happened. Abishai's Avengers is also running a super strong schedule, and up until the last turn of the game, Thumper's Revenge had a tie game almost locked in there. So it could be anybody's game on this. A little bit of luck, a lot of luck, like a rabbit's foot of luck. Thumper's Revenge could pull this out. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and Thumper's Revenge 3-2 victory.
I don't see that happening, Brett. As much as I want to say yes, or as well as Laura's been playing this year for her games and how close they've been, I think the War Club is just going to continue their streak of domination, and we're going to see a War Club win with a 4-2.
As Lee likes to phrase things, it can be a knife fight, and in this case, 1 knife versus a sword. But you never know. You just got to get that right stab in at the right point.
Yeah, and you know what? This is not just a one-sided. The War Club is going to win. Thumper's Revenge is a good team, good lance, totally possible. I just think the War Club's on a roll, and they're just playing way too solid. I am super excited to see some of these top teams playing in the playoffs. It's going to be really exciting.
Oh yeah, our playoffs is going to be super exciting because you're going to see those top teams start fighting out against each other instead of whoever they happen to be catching on the schedule. And then B-side is going to be super interesting.
Yeah. We're going to have some really interesting playoffs. It's going to be really cool. Moving on to the fourth game of the last week, we have the Tin Man's Tin Cans with 1 win, 6 losses, 2 ties. They're up against the Parker's Pathfinders with 4 wins, 5 losses, 0 ties. These two teams are having some amazing growth over this past season. The Tin Man Tin Can's inaugural season, and they've shown that as the season has gone, they've gotten better and better at playing league-style play as well as just playing Battletech in general. Parker's Pathfinders last season came in with a dismal record and Had a great time doing it though, learned a ton. Came back into the second season and pulled out a really respectable record. They actually stand a smallest chance of making the A-side playoffs. I think it requires the right alignment of the stars. However, they are playing way better, head and shoulders over what they did last season. I still think in that situation, we're going to see a Parker's Pathfinders win because his Night Star is a great mech with its lethargic and doesn't have to do a lot to become lethal. It just has to find the nearest hill, climb up the top of it, and just stand there. It's going to be Parker's Pathfinders 4-2.
All right, I had to kind of almost flip a coin for this one. Both of these teams are doing a really good season. Parker's Pathfinder is leaps and bounds beyond where it was last year, and I think that second season of experience is going to carry the day this time. I'm going to agree with you, Parker's Pathfinders, but I think it's going to be a 4-3 as Tin Man's Tin Cans will take some toll on them, but maybe just doesn't quite have the experience yet. So next season definitely would have been, anybody's game for this matchup.
Oh, Chris with Parker's Pathfinders has, as been stated, has done so much better this season. And Justin has been playing a fair amount, for I should say a fair showing this season. Knocking out 2 ties with his schedule and a win in last week. I think he's going to be riding that high, but in the end, I do think the Parker's Pathfinders are going to pull out a win, and I think we're going to see a 3-2 Pathfinders win.
Match 5, we have the Red Suns Irregulars with 5 wins, 4 losses, 0 ties. They're up against one of the top teams in the league, the Abishai Avengers. 8 wins, 1 loss, 0 ties. I would love to say that the Red Suns Irregulars are going to topple one of the top teams, but that would be shooting myself in the foot because I need Gary to lose for me to have any chance of making A. And while Gary is completely capable of beating some of the best teams in the league, I don't think he's going to be able to beat Max's steamroll. Like, he's just doing so well. He's just killing stuff. He would have to play a game very similar to what the Thumper's Revenge did, and I'm not even sure Laura would be able to redo what she did against Max. Not saying she can, not saying that Gary can't, but I really think the Abishai Avengers are going to take this, and it's going to be a 4-2 victory. Maybe even a 4-1, depending upon how aggressive he decides to get.
I want this to be a 4-1 Red Suns victory because I want Red Suns in playoffs A side, and that'll also catapult me past Abishai's in the standings. But that being said, this is 2 Banshees on the field again. It is 2 strongly outputting aggression teams, but Abishai's Avengers seems to have better grouping, and Gary jams racks. So it's going to be Abishai Avengers. It's going to be another 4-kill game to him, but I think it's going to be 4-2.
As much as I like bugging Gary about jamming racks, and he's been doing really well this season, especially this last half of the season, I think Max is just going to, continue his steamrolling, and in the end, I believe it's just going to be Max on top with a 4-1. Hate to say it, Gary, but I think it's going to be a 4-1. Max is just a very strong player, and he's got a very strong lance. Not to say that Gary's lance is weak, I just think Max is having better luck with his.
Game number 6, we have Lords of the Underworld, and their record is sitting at 1 win, 7 losses, 1 tie. They're up against the Flying Tigers with 2 wins, 7 losses, 0 ties. Well, these are 2 teams down in the bottom end. One of these 2 teams stands a decent chance of making it into the B-side playoffs. The other one is kind of scratching at the door. Flying Tigers, if they can get a tie or a win, will definitely be in the B-side playoffs. Lords of the Underworld has to have a win, and other teams have to lose. I'm going to say the Flying Tigers are going to be aggressive in a way that I don't think the Lords of the Underworld are ready for. I think that Victor and that Imp do things that people just are not expecting, and as long as Paul can keep his eye on the prize and focus on killing mechs, not just damaging them, he will take it, and it's going to be a Flying Tigers win 3-2.
Both these teams have achieved 2 non-loss games this year. This should be a very entertaining match at the very least. Jay and his Lords want the Berserker doing Berserker things, and Paul never misses an opportunity to fly at something. I hate the giant trash can. I think the Imp is just ugly, but it does work. So it's going to come down to really what the map is. Jay with his Perseus and his Black Knight on a hill can rain a good amount of fire down for an entire game while the Berserker charges up and just absorbs everything. So we'll see how Paul counters that. I'm expecting a DFA or a charge or something, but we'll see how this game goes. I'm going to call it a Flying Tigers win because Paul has more years of experience than some of our league members are years of age. So Flying Tigers 3-2.
Wow, bringing his age into this. Jeez, Brent.
I ain't the oldest man in the league.
You are correct, though. There's going to be a lot of interesting things done here with Jay having that Berserker and Paul doing crazy things with charging and DFAs and all of that. It's going to be interesting, to say the least. With that being said, though, I think we're going to see Jay pull out a win with a Lords of the Underworld, and it's going to be a
Timmy? It's going to be a Timmy win?
Oh, you know what? That would be hilarious. I don't think it's going to be a Timmy win, but I do think they're going to win with a 4-2.
I kind of want to see an 8 hex charge from that Berserker.
How about an 11 hex charge from the Phoenix Hawk?
No, I'd rather see the 8 hex charge with the Berserker also throwing a kick because it's Berserk.
Oh my god, that would be so ugly.
Like, that Berserker skill has different layers on different layers of it.
Yeah, and he forgot it completely in our game, so Jay, don't forget it.
It makes you 110 time mech for physical attacks.
Moving on to game number 7, in the game that I think is probably the game of the week. That's my opinion anyway. We have the Kells Keshik with 8 wins, 1 loss, and a tie. Top team in the league right now. They are going up against Petulant Perry's Periphery Pirates. 6 wins, 3 losses, no ties. These two are rookies to league, and they have extremely impressed me in their ability to play the game and just win. Earlier in the season, I had said Kells Keshik just doesn't seem to be on anybody's radar, and they should have been heavily on people's radar. He's just quiet. That's the biggest problem. He doesn't say a whole lot. Petulant Perrys have been a contender all season. They are very firmly in the A-side playoffs, and their lance is effective. I'm going to say that the Kells Keshik are going to be 9-1, mainly because of how much he just tuned up the band last game. 5 turns to wipe out 4 mechs. He's riding high, and his dice are going to show it. He's going to be damaging Petulant Perry in places that nobody wants to ever be touched. Kells Keshiks are going to take it a 4-2.
Is Petulant Perry's locked into A side though? I think they're still on the cusp. If they lose this game, they could potentially drop.
Nope. I am in top of B right now with 4 wins and a couple of ties and stuff like that. And I can't beat them. I can't catch them. The only person in A side who is at risk of losing their A side slot is Gary.
So what you're saying then is Petulant Perrys are locked in.
Yes.
In which case, go hard, Kels Keshik. I was gonna say, I hope that Petulant Perry's pulls a win so that they can secure into A side, so that they're not facing off against all those B side players. But if they're locked into A side, I'm gonna vote Kels Keshik with a 4-2 win, just beating him, just taking him out back by the bike racks, and just hammering him with AC-20s all day long.
Ye of little faith. I think Petulant Perrys are gonna, beat Kels Keshik in this one.
The possibility exists.
That's right. I think Kels Keshik has had a fairly easy season so far for opponents wise. And I think this is going to be one of his tougher games, and the Pirates are going to put a little bit of a hurt on him. I don't think we're going to see a very you know what? I was going to say I don't think we're going to see a high-scoring game, but then I realized the 2 players that were here, and it's going to be...
At minimum, there's going to be 6 dead, right?
Oh, well, yeah, definitely, at minimum. I think it's going to be a 4-3 win for the Pirates.
Moving on to game number 8. We have the multiple-time renamed and misspoken team, the Odin Storm Riders, with 3 wins, 5 losses, 1 tie, up against a top-of-the-league potential team, Riston's Rogues, with 7 wins, 0 losses, and 2 non-wins, ties. And in this situation, Riston's Rogues, really, you're just moving for positioning at this point. I don't think you can get any higher than 4th in league right at this moment anyway. But that doesn't mean you're going to take it easy on Odin's team. I think we're going to see a Riston's Rogues victory, but I think he's going to make you pay for it. I think it's going to be a 3-2.
All right, so this game is going to be a lot of fun. I just played Will. He is a enjoyable opponent. I gave him a crappy birthday present of a beating, so you should take it nice and easier on him. That being said, I do believe this is going to be a Riston Rogue victory, just because of the strength of your lance and your experience, and even with bad dice rolling, you still manage to pull wins a lot of the time. This is going to be probably a 3-2 Riston Rogue victory, and you're just going to sit back and chill and have a good game.
Oh, you're correct. I am going to sit back and have a chill game because, it's what all my games this season have been. I don't care if I win or not. I'm just here to have fun and play with giant stompy robots. In the end, even jokes aside and everything, I do think I probably will just end up winning it. You guys seem to be a 3-2, so I'm just going to be contrary, and I'm going to say a 4-1.
Game number 9. We have the Blitzkrieg Jezebels, 4 wins, 5 losses, 0 ties. They're up against our test team, the Fallen Angels, with guest pilot yet to be determined.
I think we actually just had Nate sign up today.
All right, well then we have an opponent to run the Fallen Angels stable of Nate. Blitzkrieg Jezebels will have fun with that one. It should be good. In this situation, it's not a test game. The people that have come in to run the Fallen Angels have done their best to win their games. I know Gary was put to task with it. I'd like to say the Kels Keshiks were, but it was over so fast I couldn't tell if he was actually even paying attention to the game. Blitzkrieg Jezebels needs a win. It'll just cement them right into the B side comfortably. I'm going to say the Blitzkrieg Jezebels are going to win this simply because Nate hasn't played League. The Fallen Angels have a decent enough lance, especially with a little bit of tweaking we've done. And I think the Blitzkrieg Jezebels are going to win 4-3. because I think the game will go fast enough for them to get 7 kills. I just think Heather's got a little more experience.
All right. So the Blitzkrieg Jezebels absolutely have more experience because this will be Nate's first ever league game. I know he's played some Battletech with his buddies outside, but he keeps saying, oh, you guys do this. Oh, you guys do that. Oh, that makes more sense. And Heather is renowned for playing to her opponent and has renowned historical losses to people that she should be mopping the floor with because she plays to her opponent. I think this is going to be a Fallen Angels 2-1 victory.
Lee's calling for the wife to win. Brett's calling against her. You know what, though?
Don't you dare call a tie. Don't you dare call a tie.
Why would I call a tie? I'm not going to call a tie. I think the Blitzkrieg Jezebels are going to win this one because they're going to bring out their season with a 50-50 here. 5 wins, 5 losses. Anything less, and I'll be severely disappointed. And I think they're going to do this win with a... I don't think we're going to see a very high-scoring game, but I do think we're going to see a win from them of a 2-1. Now, I say I don't think we're going to see a high-scoring game because Nate hasn't played a league game yet, so...
That is going to probably result in a limited number of turns as it's one part teaching, one part just playing, one part having a good day.
Yeah, and it all depends upon how much out of league games like he's had. If he's really solid on his basic skills, league isn't that far removed. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and I think he's going to have a lot of fun doing it. So, game number 10. We have the Donru Tiger Slayers. 4 wins, 4 losses, and a tie. They're up against our second St. Ives Janissaries, who are fighting, clawing for that first place slot with 8 wins, 1 loss, 0 ties. You know what? You getting right into his face, Brett, is going to cause him issues because that is one of the best counters to a C3 system. The only problem is that Orion with its 2 MRM40s, it's going to have to stay back a bit from your Atlas just so you don't light the thing on fire for days. So it can cause you a little bit of grief if he plays it that way. Stays back a little bit, tries to take that Atlas out before it can actually do a whole lot of harm. He's got the mechs to do it. He's got some pretty good tech. In the long run, though, I don't think it's going to win him the game. I think the Atlas and the Hunchback's going to go down again. And I don't think you're getting 4-2 this time. I think it's going to be 3-2 because the Atlas and Hunchback have to die.
Brad's gonna lose. Brad's gonna lose. In all seriousness, I do actually think the Tiger Slayers are going to take this one. As much as you want to keep that coveted 8-1, I do think the Tiger Slayers are going to get some good shots in on you and take the win.
I mean, I do hear he gets some lucky shots in from time to time.
Floating criticals could totally make the difference too, right? And that's the thing with a dice game. Brandon knows how to play. He gets a little bit nervous sometimes, but he knows how to play. The game isn't foreign to him. It's going to be close. It really is going to depend upon whether or not he can stop that Atlas from just lighting everybody on fire.
Oh yeah, Brandon is a strong player.
Yeah. All 3 of his mechs have potential heat issues. Like 3, because the Cicada, I don't think you're gonna personal vendetta and precision ammo him to death really early.
Do I take the personal vendetta against the Cicada though? Do I? Is that the way to go?
Spotter, you just eliminate it. Once it's out, his other 3 mechs then have to try to close in to try to gain advantage, and which puts your Atlas exactly where it wants to be.
I do think that's the way to go. I was also debating coming in with empty ammo bins on the Atlas so that it can't kill itself for the 3rd time this season.
It's always interesting the way to save your mech is to handicap it.
Yeah, that's funny. But anyways, back to this. I think the Donru Tiger Slayers are going to take the win, and I think it's going to be a 3-2. With, of course, the Atlas and the Hunchback being 2 of the kills.
Well, we know it's going to be a 4-2 win because I'm going to lose the Atlas and I'm going to lose the Hunchback. No, that being said, it could be either way. It will depend on map. It'll depend on how things go. I've played Lunar Map twice, once preseason, and I blew out all of my mech's legs, like literally all of them without actually trying to. And then I played against Tin Mans, and I had not a single fail. So the map and the environmental features, if we play on a custom, could very well make the difference. If we get like the -1 to hit with missile weapons, that might make a big difference too. On both sides though, with those MRMs, but then he's got C3 to offset it. So it could go either way. I'm at the end of the day, I'm looking forward to a really enjoyable game with a second generation Crooks player. So I'm hoping he doesn't take the beating personally, but I'm absolutely coming out swinging.
Moving into the last game of Week 10, we have Mass Destruction with 4 wins, little asterisks because one of them was a bye win, 3 losses, 2 ties, up against the Doom Buds, the other C3I Lance. So this is C3I on C3I, and it is a 4-win, 5-loss, 0 ties for the Doom Buds. I am 1 point ahead of the Doom Buds in the standings right now, which means either of us can take this. A tie, well, obviously I stay ahead, but whoever wins this moves forward. And I think Alex has played the Doom Buds extremely well this season. I think our tech is almost identical, other than the fact that I'm not using the INARC system, and I have nothing to stop the INARC system. I'm not really all that concerned about it as much as everyone else might be, because my trial run for my LRMs might make the difference of line of sight or even just range benefits. I'm going to say I'm going to win this. It's going to be really close, and I think it's going to be a 4-3 right down to the wire. Shall I just write down 4-3 for the Doom Buds for you, Brett?
I mean, yes, but not for that reason. Alexander has come such a long way this season. He is so far ahead of where he was last year, and it pains me that he doesn't listen to these, so that I can't actually praise my child in a way that he will actually listen to it. But
whoa, wait. He doesn't listen to these?
No, he doesn't listen to our podcast. I'm so disappointed by that.
Oh, him and I are going to have some words.
Hey, my wife doesn't listen to it either.
Her and I are going to have some words also.
And in this case, it's not actually just taking a shot at you, Lee. I actually believe he has a chance with the Lance he's playing that he can just come out, play the game, and actually beat you on his own merit on the field.
Oh, I think he can too. That's why I said 4-3. It's going to be close. It's going to be the last round of fire, I think, that's going to end up taking it. Alex is not the player I played last year. I'm not just going to hit one mech and make it turn around and go away for the rest of the game and not come back. He's going to be solid in his play. The only things I'm seeing for weak points on that thing is I'm not scared of the Crusader. It just has to be dealt with. And his Wraith, while it's the same kind of Wraith I was using, means it has the same limitations that my Wraith had. And I think my Raging's a better mech.
Your Raging is a better mech. The Wraith is there to spot. The Crusader is there to light something up with narcs. And then the the Highlander and the Longbow murder stuff. So it'll come down to seeing how that goes out. I think it's going to be a good game regardless. And the fact that you've promised a custom map is hilarious to me.
Yeah, it's going to be good. And the thing is, I'm really worried that we're either going to get the 15 hex maximum range, or we're going to get the high winds, and our LRMs are going to be absolute garbage.
Yeah, 2 out of the 8 both hamper you.
That would be absolutely hilarious to me.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Or high G. High G wouldn't be awesome either.
Watch, we'll get the city fight, and we're going to have to deal with freaking having our LRMs be kind of pointless.
That's not even such a bad map, though. The Fortress, as a custom, is fairly open. It's just lots and lots of concrete.
Yep.
Standard map number 12 is the actual city fight.
Yeah.
But we're talking over Geoff. It's Geoff's turn to tell us how you're going to get beat.
Oh, you assume I'm going to call against Lee. Interesting. No. I think it's going to be a very good game. And like you said, Alex has come a long ways this season, especially compared to last season. But I think the old adage of old age and treachery is going to win out over youthful exuberance here. So I think we're going to see a mass destruction win of a, I say a 3-2.
Yeah, it's going to be a tight game, I think. No matter what way we look at it, it's going to be close because our tech is so similar.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, it's C3I on C3I.
Lee defeated Alex last year by making him lose confidence halfway through the game. Lee will defeat Alex this year by being treacherous and pulling out things that Alex is unexpected. So it could go either way. I am betting on my child.
And it's a good bet. It's not like I've been playing hot this season.
No, you guys are both, in my eyes, you both are the exact same with 4 wins and 5 non-wins.
So, in summary and closing of the regular season, I want to thank you for participating in another regular season with the Calgary Battletech League and enjoying our podcast and following along. Because without you, it would just be pretty much just Brett and I, and we'd probably let Geoff play a little bit, sitting around looking at our minis going, man, I'd really like to play some more Battletech.
With somebody other than just you.
Yeah.
No, it's been a really good season. I've enjoyed the season again, and I totally look forward to next season. And I look forward to the playoffs. And playing BattleTech it's great to have the league back up and running again, and it's just been great. So appreciate all of our viewers, subscribers, and all that. So also remember to subscribe because we still will have the odd show during the off season.
Oh, we ramp up in the off season.
Yeah, that's true. We get Rambletech, right? So,
and
don't
we're going
forget
to try some new shows. I've got one in the works that should be pretty exciting.
Oh, interesting. I haven't heard anything about it yet.
I know. I've been keeping it under my hat because I want to make sure it was going to work before I announced anything.
Oh, interesting. Curiouser and curiouser. Anyways, folks, thanks for listening to us for the season. Don't forget to like, subscribe, smash the notification button. You can find us on YouTube, obviously, and Spotify. We're on Spotify, so.
All right, well, that's a wrap for Uncivil Discourse for this year. We wanted to take a moment and say a special thank you to all of our listeners, viewers, and supporters. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the year, and we look forward to bringing you the next Uncivil Discourse in January. Please leave comments, suggestions, and requests for things you would like to see in 2023. And if there's any other content you'd like to see during the off season, leave us a message with that too, so that maybe we can incorporate that. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Coming at you like a shot to the cockpit. Good night and lights out.